morning. Welcome to the Kurre and Klapow show every Thursday. You haven't been here in a couple weeks.
No, I've been trying. This is the most I've traveled. I mean, I don't.
I know you travel almost every month.
I don't. I really don't travel that much. No. I'm saying this year. Well,
yeah.
You know what this. You know what this is, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm making up for all the time that I've had to spend inside. I'm going out to dinner every night.
You come back with monkeypox.
Yeah, that's like a thing.
I know, right?
But you know what? It hasn't. I'm not worried about that yet.
Welcome back. I have lots to talk about. It's
ready.
hard to do. I mean, I do the Facebook Live.
I watch you. I watch you when I'm traveling.
Good, thank you.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
It
Watching me is creepy?
Yeah, because like I know you and I'm used to being here and I do watch you sometimes on the live and then I
know, I got things and sometimes I go like a great story and I really need someone to bounce something off of and I don't have that.
Yes.
So I have to bounce it off myself.
Yes.
And then you just kind of...
But you're a pro. You're a pro.
Yeah, I am. It is the 9th of June, which is 6/9. So you know what today is? Today is National Sex Day.
Oh, is it really?
It is nationally recognized National Sex Day.
Because it's 6/9?
I'm assuming it falls on June 9th.
Did you snicker when you saw it?
I didn't realize it, and I was like, and then at the top of the page it says there's a link. It says 6/9. Talk about the enhancement of our sex lives, the education of our sex lives, and the sexual health of our sex lives. Today is also, interesting enough, National Toy Day.
See, look at
And I'm not sure if those fall on the same day. Jurassic Park opens later on tonight. It opens tomorrow, but all the theaters are going to have it. I'm going to try to go check a matinee out today. So we'll talk about that. Britney Spears. You know what happens to her day?
No.
She get married.
Hang on. Oh, she's getting married. Right. But she lost her baby. She was engaged.
Pregnant.
We saw the ring. She lost the baby.
Lost her baby.
And then today she's getting married. That's rough. I mean,
her third marriage. He's 28. He's a singer.
She's 40, right?
She's 40. Her mom and dad and sister will not be there, but she will have 100 guests at her wedding, so she'll be getting married. So
I don't know if we'll get into it. There's, people kind of trash on her. Well, she's got tons of support.
Yeah.
Right. People kind of trash on her. She's crazy. But like, if you just take the slice of the custody, and then the court stuff, and then the engagement. And then the loss of a baby, and there is so much there that if you just put any person in that role, you said that you were in the middle of a legal battle, you got engaged, people were concerned about your engagement, you were pregnant, you had a miscarriage, and now
she's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
The only thing I would wish she would do is I wish she'd stop posting.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's just really because unless she just shows everything at this point, I don't really need it. Even when I see nude pictures, I'm like,
it is interesting that
it's really bizarre that she does that.
There were a couple of times early where it's okay, you're showing your freedom, you're a sex symbol, you're all those things, but yeah, now you just. There's a whole lot.
Yeah, she had a different outfit on.
Right.
I don't know. Because I see other women do. Heidi Klum post stuff, but she'll be in her bed or whatever. But there's a story behind it. She's just rolling around the beach naked, with emojis covering the crack of her butt. I don't get. But wish the best of luck to her. It's her third marriage.
He's 28.
He's 28.
Oh, that's his stuff's in.
I'm learning about since it's National Sex Day. About our dating platforms and how we're doing it. I think we're heading in different directions here. And what I mean by that is, like, New York City right now is all out. Like, everyone's back out and everyone wants to explore and they want multiple partners and they want to get after it as long as it's consensual and we're all having a good time. And so all these people are opening up their sexual handbooks. They're like, you know what? I'm just going to go out and sow me some oats. And then you got the other group of people that are being ultra guarded in that they're not going to put up with the crap anymore. And so their patience barometer is a lot shorter. Like where they normally would give a guy 2 or 3 different dates, he does these quirky little things, I'm not so sure. It's one date, I'm out. I'm moving on.
Right.
Life's too short, I'm moving on.
You know why?
You know what I mean?
You know why?
What's that?
Because I just lost 2 years.
Yeah.
I lost 2 years, and I do not have time for BS anymore.
And I was in kind of the same situation. I went out with a friend of mine that I've known
right.
for a long period of time.
Yeah, you were.
I'm okay talking about it. I don't care. And gave it all I got. And nothing happened, but we had wonderful conversation. Mm-hmm. There was this disconnect when it came to returning phone calls and texts, which I thought was kind of strange. She'd been through a lot. I've been through a lot. But we sat there and talked. We talked for 3 or 4 hours. It was great. And all of a sudden, I didn't get a return phone call. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't have time for this. I'm not going to, I gave it all I got. You knew my intentions. And if you don't want to follow through on that. And so I moved on. Now, I was willing to give it as much as I possibly could, but I mean, a lot of people,
you're not putting as much emotional energy in it. And what's interesting and unique is, usually you would attribute that to age. I'm 40, 35, 40, 50. I've been there. I've done that. I don't have time for this. That's typical is what we attribute to. But now you're seeing that younger and younger and younger because people have lost 2 years.
Yeah.
And I would almost say particularly if you're young, because we've talked about this before. For us, it's 2 years. For a lot of 20-year-olds, it's 2 years of some of the most important time in their life. They're making up for it, and you can make up for it, like you said, either way. Right? You can either make up for it by getting after it. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to socialize. I'm going to sleep around. I'm going to have sex. I'm going to explore all stuff. Or you can go the other way, which is, hang on.
Yeah.
This is precious time for me, and I'm thinking my way through this, everything from jobs to relationships.
Yeah, it's super cool. Anyway, there's a new deal breaker. Have you ever not liked somebody because of the way they eat?
No, but I would, this has got to fall down gender lines more. Uh-huh. Because, like, men, I mean, Jules will say this to you all the time. Yeah. She's like, she cannot stand, you chew with your mouth open or you're shoving food in your mouth. I mean,
have you ever seen a woman eat and it's not attractive? Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of like, whether they're chewing like cud or,
yep.
And you're kind of like,
yep.
I'm not, and deal breaking in that you either eat too fast, you're too sloppy, the way you order, the way you treat the help that comes to your table. These are all deal breakers.
That's a huge one.
We'll talk about that as well. And also, and I can't wait to get in. We get just a monster show. We'll go for at least an hour today, and we're going to be on Fox 6 at 9:35 this morning. We're talking about I call them soft white guys. The soft white guys of music. We were talking about Jimmy Seals, who passed away earlier this week. Dan Fogelberg, Bread.
He died too, didn't he? Didn't Fogelberg?
Yeah. Ambrosia.
Is Bread dead? Is all Bread dead?
I think they're still around.
Okay.
Ambrosia.
Oh, it's Ambrosia.
Christopher Cross. Seals and Crofts. England and John Fercoli.
Which I didn't realize that. What's the
Dan and Jim are brothers. They actually toured
together.
I know. Robbie Dupree.
Steal Away.
Hot Rod Hearts.
Yeah. And the other one I sent you.
James Taylor.
Is he falling that?
James Taylor.
I feel like he doesn't. I feel like he's not there.
He was in the 70s, but he's not there now.
No, but he's not. Well, now we're gonna be two old white men guys. He's not cheesy 70s. I feel like he's a different level.
Yeah.
He's James Taylor. Yeah. He's singer-songwriter. Nothing against Ambrosia.
See, I can't put the word cheesy with these guys. Because at the time, it was not cheesy at all. And even listening to it now.
Okay, I call it cheesy.
Like I was listening, I'll play
way.
for you. I mean, some of the songs are kind of cheesy. Like the Carpenters are cheesy. England and John Fercoli.
Yeah.
Maybe a little cheese factor. But we'll talk about those. And we'll talk about, this is really interesting, and you were mentioning the fact you talked to your mom. And I'm loving that Janice Rogers and Mike Dubs want to do this. Because we're going to talk about comfort. Everyone talks about a simpler time. Whenever you see posts, it's stuff in the 70s, whether it's gas prices or love or whatever. I long for the simpler times. And I've certainly posted stuff about the simpler times. And music can bring us back to that. It doesn't have to be a pile of mashed potatoes, the comfort food, but the comfort music that we allow ourselves to get into can make a huge difference in our lives and change the way we feel, change the way we think. So we'll talk about that.
And simpler times. Here's the other thing, too. Simpler times, we always attribute that to old people, right? Yep. Old people, our parents, our grandparents, now the kids. But again, my kids are in their 20s. They'll tell you about simpler times when they were 10.
Yeah.
And it was only, it was Miley Cyrus and oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Oh, early Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
but those were simpler times for them. Because the simpler times for all of us is just the time. It's not age dependent or generation. It's that time in which our lives were simpler, and our lives, on average, are simpler earlier on. I did an interview yesterday about turning 30. And sort of I always talk about the 30-year-old midlife crisis. Yeah. And someone reached out and wanted to do an interview. I was like, oh, yes. Because it's the late 20s, I think, is one of the most challenging times that we have to go through. Because we're right on the cusp. The simpler times are right there. They're right next to us. But now everyone in the world is saying, mm-mm.
Well, it's when marriage starts, it's when your first kid starts, it's when your first job starts.
You can't look back, and you've said this. That is the time in which waking and baking, watching porn, all those things they're not cool anymore.
No.
Again, right at 30, but you are now staring down adulthood.
Yeah.
And you can't.
It's time to grow up.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't be boyish or fun. Just means it's time to grow up. Also, it's this great story, and I want to get your thoughts on it. This could be our psych out. I'm just going to let you go on it. For years, we've had love potions. We've seen them in the cartoons. Harry Potter.
Yeah.
There was a song called Love Potion Number 9, where you just take a little elixir, and next thing you know, you're falling in love with whatever's around you. Love the one you're with. Well, it's becoming reality in the next 3 to 5 years. From a moralistic standpoint, that's where I think we're going to go here.
Whoa.
But they're going to use it in marriage counseling. People could take a little nip before they go out to the bar that night, but it's going to make you fall in love.
So these are not, and this is different than sort of an aphrodisiac or a...
Yes.
Well, I guess it is sort of fall in love or just get increased sex drive?
A little bit of both.
Oh, okay.
It releases the oxytocin.
Yes.
It releases the pheromone, whatever it is in your body that makes you want to fall in love. So it's not necessarily a sexual thing.
Oh, that's some dangerous
But it's I know, right? So we'll talk about that.
Look at me. I'm contemplating.
First, I want to get into birthdays today. Happy birthday to Johnny Depp. Turns 59 today. Andy Morgan, good morning to you, Andy. Yeah, he is. He's still in the UK. He's having a good time. Michael J. Fox. Take a stab at that.
He's got to be just in his late 50s, 60s?
He's 61. Dick Vitale is 83 today.
God love him, man. He made it through.
He's hanging in, man.
He made it through. He's cancer clear.
Yeah,
cancer free, I'm sorry.
I don't know if he's going to do any more basketball. And Les Paul would have been 107 today. Les Paul also created the 8-track recording system. Did you realize that?
No. I wouldn't have known that, but you would have.
So I saw this story, and I thought it was great, and I sent it to Chris Doris at State Farm. Chris Doris, State Farm, one of our great sponsors.
He was busy yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt. 205-985-7799, 985-7799. Chris Doris, the State Farm team. I've been with Chris Doris since 1988 and had a great conversation with him last week. I love him. He's great. And he is just salt of the earth kind of guy. But a Missouri woman yesterday was awarded a $5.2 million settlement against her ex-boyfriend's car insurance company.
Okay.
After she claims she got a sexually transmitted disease from him when they had sex in his 2014 Hyundai Genesis. Wednesday, after 5 years of uncertainty, the Missouri Court of Appeals affirmed the GEICO General Insurance Company must make the massive payout to the Jackson County woman in an unprecedented case. So how'd it go down? Court papers obtained by the DailyMail.com revealed that the woman notified GEICO in February 2021 stating that she and the insured had been in a romantic relationship since 2017.
Okay.
The woman told the insurance company her intention to seek monetary damages, alleged she contacted HPV from an insured member in his automobile. Court documents revealed that in the suit, the woman alleged that her ex-boyfriend had been told that he had throat cancer tumor and was diagnosed with HPV, yet he contributed to having unprotected sex with her, knowing the risks. Then in May of 2021, the arbitrator found the man and the woman had sex inside the vehicle that directly caused or directly contributed to cause the HPV infection in her. The ex-boyfriend was found liable for not disclosing his infection status, and the woman was awarded $5.2 million for damages and injuries paid by GEICO.
Okay, okay.
Her attorney came out and said, if you think about it as an injury sustained while in that person's vehicle...
That's not funny. Come on.
Then it totally falls within what an insurance company would be required to pay.
I love law. That's great.
Usually, listen to this now. Usually, injuries to patch as a result of a collision or slamming the door on one's fingers. That sort of thing. But while a lawsuit over contracting an STD from an insured driver may be the first of its kind, this award shows that it's not just a stretch for someone to file against an insurance company for any actions occurring in a motor vehicle, whether it be moving at the time or not.
Oh my God.
The lesson to be learned here is that people need to broaden the scope of what an injury is. The entire insurance industry is certain to be looking at this case because it could have ramifications in all kinds of situations. For example, what if someone contracts an HPV or a sexually transmitted disease in a partner's home? Would the home insurance have to cover the liability? Can you? I saw this and I was like,
STD rider? Is that what we got?
Yes, an underwriter for us.
That's terrible.
$5.2 million.
Well, okay.
Because
so somebody believed it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
she did. She did.
No. I mean, that logic. I mean, talk about stretching. But, you know, the thing is so amazing to me, we both have friends who are lawyers.
Yes.
And, you know, it's always fascinated me about lawyers and the law. It is this kind of, our laws are written and they can be interpreted, and that's part of our legal system is we make a case about whether a law was broken or not, and people look at it and judges make, you know. But then there's always time, like I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous. Then I'm like, what a genius lawyer. Like, how did they pull that off? That's such a stretch. Well, I'll tell you one thing, if that is legal precedent, we're all, screwed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if I'm an insurance company, I'm jacking my rates up now.
Yeah, it's going to cost us all, right? It's
That's
because
terrible.
when you think about all the things we do in our cars and how that could be considered. At some, well, you know what you're going to see is you're going to probably have some type of disclaimer or addendum or something to insurance cars that basically
does not cover an STD.
Yeah, unless it has something to do with herein, there'll be a letter therefore, and herein that the car must be either moving or that it must be
moving.
A drivable action
There
in your
you
car.
go. Look at you. You could be a lawyer. You could be a lawyer.
Like if you're just sitting there, someone broad swipes
So if you're driving and contract an STD, you're having sex while driving and contract an STD.
It would probably have to be something that is considered a drivable action.
So
because most people don't have sex in their cars while they're driving, or they don't now have had sex in a car, and I'm sure you have too. But I mean,
I'm sure you haven't. Now I'm driving, and we won't go there. That was our other show.
Yeah. Now, if you have an accident while you're having sex while the car is moving, then that would be liable on you because you're not paying attention. But if you're in a car that's in a parking lot and you're not doing anything, that would be considered something. I would think through GEICO or State Farm or anyone else that would be considered not a drivable offense. And so I'm sure insurance companies are freaking out though because
who's the judge?
This is a very litigious society we live in. It's insane. That
really is. I mean, I can understand going after him.
Yeah.
Right. That would make sense. That he knowingly had sex and did not disclose that he had a sexually transmitted disease. Mm-hmm. How did they think? So here's the other one. How did they think to go after the car, after the insurance? Whose idea was?
Well, maybe she looked at him and figured, okay, there's going to be no damages I can get from this guy because I don't know what his financial situation is. And normally when you go after someone, what do? You throw the net out.
Yeah.
Right? You go after everybody. I've been part of lawsuits where they will sue the sponsors, they'll sue the advertisers, they'll sue the bar you're in, they'll sue everybody, they'll sue everyone associated with whatever.
I know, but the lawyer...
And then they kind of fall off. They're like, okay, you can't sue them. But you throw the broad net out there. So maybe that's what they did with the car insurance. And then once they started realizing, wait a minute, you were in the car when this happened, and he didn't tell you?
But it's not the car.
But yeah, you're going to see some new car insurance policies come out that are going to be... I sent it to Chris Torres this morning at State Farm. It's like, dude, you need to look at this.
What about a hotel? Can you sue the hotel? Because you're in their bed.
Well, there's probably some things...
when you sign, when you check in.
Yeah, you're basically signing your life away when you sign into a hotel.
If you... If you attain a sexually transmitted
disease.
disease.
They're called indemnities, is what they say. Yes,
Right.
like whatever you do in your room.
Oh my
Make sure you pay for your little bottles of liquor.
God. Like, we don't have enough problems going on.
All right, so I can only think of, this is the Kurre and Klapow show, by the way, and download the Tony Kurre radio app. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do great classic rock and roll and great shows. On top of that, today is Thursday, so we have a brand new, the 22nd episode of Blues Almighty with Austin Hanks. It's fantastic. Great blues music. You can hear that. We have When in Rome with Stuart Rome, the Birmingham Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. We have Father's Day coming up on June 19th, so I'm looking forward to seeing what my ex is going to give me for Father's Day. Since I gave her a Fitbit and a really nice gift for Mother's Day, I'm kind of expecting something in return for Father's Day, maybe.
That's not good.
So we got that coming up. Go to birmingham.woodhousespas.com, 905-7676. He's got a show called When in Rome with Stuart Rome. It's great. So you can check out all the shows. Go to Spotify. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to subscribe. You can search it on your phone. Search Spotify, Tony Kurre Radio, Kurre with a K, and go look at like well over 200 episodes of every show we did. We did a killer live wire Wednesday last night. We did a show called Pre-Black, which is fantastic. So we got that. So check it out. And of course, you can hear all the previous episodes of the Kurre and Klapow show. We'll be on Fox 6 in about an hour and 10 minutes. I can only think, for some reason, I don't know why, I've been out. Normally, I don't go to dinner on a first date because it is a little uncomfortable because you don't want to have something hanging from your face and you don't want to order too much and you don't want to have gas afterwards.
Well, and conversation's hard over dinner.
Conversation's kind of difficult. It does give you something to do with your hands, and you've got a waitress coming to the table to break up the awkwardness a little bit. But that's why movies are so good for first dates, because you don't have to say squat for 3 hours. You can hold their hand. You can use your body motion. You can do all those things, and you can whisper if you want. Stuff like that. But it doesn't force you to interact if you don't want to. But I will tell you this: there have been several times where I've been on dates where I'll see and I'll watch a woman the way she eats.
We all do that,
right?
Right, because if you think about it, particularly if it's a first date,
yeah.
or one of the first dates, or the first time you've seen them eat, eating. I mean, eating is primitive.
Yeah.
We've seen a gazillion movies of how sexual it can be.
Yeah.
Right? But it also can be kind of disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so it's probably, I was thinking about this now. See, you get me to think about shit that I would never think about.
Yes. Yes.
It's probably the first interaction that you have that is a primitive sort of survival behavior that you're seeing in the other person.
Yeah.
That could go any way. You know, talking, there's social norms, and maybe you talk a little bit, and a little laugh a little bit, and that's a very evolved thing. It's very evolved. Eating is the most primitive thing that we have on the first few dates.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can go about this, and what I meant to say is actually the way they eat.
Yes.
Because you got women and men who need things on the side. They're not particularly friendly to the waitress, which is a big red flag for a lot of people. They don't reach for their wallet when the check comes out.
Right.
There's all these different things, where they eat, how they use their utensils.
Yes.
Can I use my fingers to pick up my steak? Whatever it is.
As long as you put your pinky
but
out.
I'm talking about the actual motion of their face when they're eating.
Yes.
Can be some. Now, I've never seen a woman go, I love the way she eats. It turns me on. But I have seen some women, just the way they grind their food, it's kind of like, or they eat really, really fast.
Yes. Well, and women will say the same thing about men. I mean, this is not specific to gender, not specific to sexual orientation. I don't think it's specific to anything. I mean, think about it. You're a human.
Yeah.
And there are ways in which you can consume your food that, this is so interesting. Because there's different cultural norms, right? In other cultures, you are using your hands. In other cultures, you can belch or right? There's all of that.
Yeah.
But for ours, it's the idea. There's even more. No, because again, what do we teach our kids? We teach them table manners. Don't chew with your mouth open. Don't put too much in your mouth so that you're not chewing and choking and all that. Don't guzzle. Wipe your mouth. All these kinds of things. When I was in England, it was a minor thing, but in Europe they use their utensils differently.
Yeah.
Right. In here in the U.S. you always you cut your food. You cut your food. You put the utensil down. You switch hands, and you use the fork.
That's what you do?
Yeah, you're not supposed to do this here.
Oh, that's all I do.
Yeah, well, that's very European.
Really?
Yeah, in Europe, you never switch. You never switch.
Now, let me ask you this: do you cut more than one bite at a time?
It depends. Yeah, it totally depends on my social situation. That's a really interesting thing. If I'm at a dinner party, like a business thing,
one piece at a time,
I cut everything. So that I'm not
at least 3 pieces, like at least 3 or 4 bites.
So that I'm not.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing with conversation. I don't want to be if I'm trying to have a conversation with somebody. I don't eat much. If I'm in a business situation and I'm it's not that I'm avoiding the food. I don't eat much because I'm focused on talking and not focused on eating. Now with Jules, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm cutting everything up.
So according to this survey here from goodcooks.com, these are the top five dining deal breakers.
I can know.
Eating too fast.
Yeah. Snarfing.
I can't remember the last time I was with somebody that really ate fast.
Yeah, but do you
They're
eat
guys.
Yeah.
No, I try not to. I try to look at how far along they are with it, and that's why, if you're getting appetizers or a salad or whatever, then you just because you want to kind of finish up at the same time. Being a picky eater, I've been around that.
Yeah.
The old Meg Ryan. When Harry Met Sally, she wants everything on the side and this, that, and the other, and that's cute for a while, but after a while, it's kind of for a while, when I was married, I would go through drive-thrus for the family. And I would always ask my ex, I'm going through Wendy's or whatever, what do you want? And she would always order stuff that was like...
You can't do that at fast food.
Yeah.
Even if you're making it your way.
Let me have their new almond salad, but hold the strawberries, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we're going to a hamburger joint here. It's a fast food restaurant.
This is fast.
And I went saying that, I'm like, okay. And inevitably, they'd always give me the wrong thing. And so every time I came home, and then it got to the point where, would you please check the order before you
been there.
Well, I don't want to check the order because then it looks rude if I'm checking the order. So I'd pull up, park, go through the entire bag, and I'm buying for 5 people, so there's a ton of stuff there and making sure it's perfect. And then, of course, most of the time it wasn't. I'd have to go back in the restaurant. Hey, she said she wanted the salad dressing on the side, and it turned into this quirky little thing, turned into be a major pain in my ass. And then it got to the point where, you know what, I just started bringing it home anyway. And I was like, you know what? If we're at a hamburger joint and you ain't getting a number 3 with a Coke, then maybe
that was that was one of the first red flags.
Yeah, it was. Maybe you need to eat here at the house. Mindless snacking. I think we all do that. I went through an entire bag of Bugles yesterday, by the way. I haven't had Bugles in a long time. And man, fresh Bugles. Like you almost smell the freshness. It's so good.
You need your own cooking show. You know why?
Bugle's so good.
You need your own cooking show. I think it is your voice. But you are one of the few people, our friend Rob Conrad is another one, where you can talk about Bugles.
Yeah.
Which are gross.
Bugles.
But do you see what I mean? But you talk about Bugles like it's fine dining, This is a freshly...
like the first one out of the bag where you can taste the freshness. It's really, really good. And after the freshness, because they put that gas in the bag. What do they call that? What's the gas they put in bags to keep the food fresh? There's gas that they put in the bag to blow it up and keep it fresh. Oh, fresh Bugles. But man, you got to get after it. I ate an entire bag of Bugles. And I have a problem with mindless snacking. I mean, as long as they're not...
I'm a boredom snacker.
Yeah.
That's a deal breaker?
Evidently, I guess people, it depends on maybe what they weigh.
Yeah, right. And what they're eating.
And if certainly we know that when watching television, snacking, you're regularly consuming junk food, and the last one, which is kind of interesting, taking food from my plate. Do you have a problem with someone taking food from your plate?
Yeah, really? That's totally rude. You can ask. That is one of the most rude things I've ever seen.
Will you allow them to do that?
If they ask?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, unless I want it.
Yeah. What if it's a business associate?
That's weird. Business associate, someone on my business team?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how well I know them. Not during a business...
Well, let me ask you this. Will you offer? I think these raviolis are unbelievable. You got to try them.
Yeah, I'll do that. I would do that. But somebody asking me, even a business... Well, it depends. I mean, okay, you're my business associate.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, dude, are you going to eat that rib?
Yeah.
No, here, take it.
Yeah.
But if you just reached over and grabbed
But you wouldn't offer me the rib. You just...
No, I would be, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Would you like this rib?
You'd wait till you're done before you'd offer it to me.
Well, or if it was delicious and it came out, I would give it to you. But that's like a whole thing. We have a thing in my family.
Yeah.
We call it Klapow's dessert.
Yeah.
So, you do in the family, you'll get, trying to watch your ways. One dessert, 4 forks, 4 spoons, 4 whatever. The dessert comes out. And, my kids are well-mannered. They're grown-ups. My wife, Jules, the whole thing. It's all on.
Yeah.
It is all on, including fending people off with the spoon. That's mine. That, is there anything here? There was nothing in that about chewing.
No, there wasn't.
Chewing is the most either appropriate or disgusting thing that you can do. Chew with your mouth open, food falling out of your mouth, gulping. Mm-hmm. Are you a gulper on drinks?
I try not to gulp.
Yeah.
I try to be...
God, I'm thinking of all the things that piss my wife off.
I know, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of my eating habits that piss my wife off.
Hey, talk about one of our great sponsors. I know John Gray is one of our great sponsors.
He is the best. He is the best. I had a retirement account with a company that I am no longer with, and I had to change it over.
Yeah.
John Gray from Driscoll Gray, he's a financial advisor, and he's there to help you plan your financial future. He's there to help you plan, manage your debt, help you with your taxes. He doesn't do the taxes, although they're a one-stop stop, but he's there to help you figure out. But John goes the extra mile, Tony, on everything. So I had to roll over some account, which I had no idea how to do. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to call. You know what John does? John gets on the phone with me, with them.
Yeah.
Like, he did, you did not need your financial advisor to do this.
No, nice.
But that's the kind, and listen, that is the kind of financial advisor you want. Financial advisors, it's a very sterile term. I don't like that because really, if you think about it,
yeah.
Next to your physicians, your clergy, and I would say your shrinks, your financial advisor is there, needs to be in your life. And here's the most important thing about John Gray. I'm talking about this. You don't have to be rich to have a financial advisor. And in fact, most of my friends who are financial advisors, including John, will tell you, start when you don't have any money.
Yeah.
And that's what he's there for.
Well, because you have him, you will have more money down the road, and then they can certainly manage your wealth. I've got some IRS, not issues, but I owe the IRS money over the course of a period of time, and so I'm paying them off, and I'm giving them, at the time, I thought I could afford to make a certain payment to them, and now I'm trying to back that off and pay them off over a certain amount of, and so I called John and called Millicent yesterday and said, is there any way that you could, and I don't remember the website, I don't remember how I set my payments up, I just know it comes out of my check every month and it's killing me, and I'm like, is there any way we could, she's like, oh yeah, we could call them, and I love that.
Love that.
It's great stuff. Also, I want to mention, we got great sponsors. Workplay is another one of our great sponsors. Tommy Williams, he's got the bar back open again.
That's wonderful.
They're not open every single day of the week, but they are open for shows. They had a great show this past Saturday. They've got the music, the life, and the story of Eric Clapton, which is going to be playing. The Maverick Lounge is going to be playing down there. So check out Tommy Williams, Courtney, and his entire crew down there at Workplay. Go to workplay.com, and you can check out all the wonderful shows they got down there. They have at least 4 shows going on just in the month of June. We'll talk about some soft white guys here in just a few minutes. And also, this has been going on for years and years and years and years and years. Probably not as politically correct now as it was in the 60s and 70s when it was free love, and unless you're living in New York and you just want to knock boots with everything that moves. But we've always had love potions, right? Mm-hmm. Everything from Love Potion number 9 to Harry Potter to cartoons of Pepe Le Pew. You go to Shrek. You always had the bottle of the love potion. Yes. You drink this love potion, it'll make the person fall in love with you. Well, what if I told you that it's coming and it could possibly happen to you? Scientists predict so-called love drugs will be available within 3 to 5 years. I'm just going to read the story and I'm going to let you go off on a psychological. That's really interesting. Drugs which spark romance may include the cuddle hormone, oxytocin, while low-dose ecstasy can help couples fall back in love with each other.
That's where I thought you were going, like shrooms and X, but okay.
A form of antidepressant may be given to lovers who have just been dumped.
No way.
Yeah. Anthropologist Dr. Anne Machen of Oxford University. Maybe it's something your son would be working on.
Maybe.
Said certain drugs can replicate the effect in the brain of falling in love.
Wow, this is really cool.
She told the Cheltenham Science Festival, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, there are lots of ethical questions here, but love drugs are certainly on the horizon. She added, we know enough now about the neurochemistry of love to probably suggest some things you could take to enhance your abilities to find love or to increase the possibility that you'll stay in love when it gets a little bit tricky.
Whoa. Now
that was the phrase. I was like, hold on.
Well, now you're getting philosophical now. Now you're getting, besides more, you're getting philosophical. Keep going.
Love drugs used in couples therapy could be available within 3 to 5 years.
Oh my God. That's some crazy. Get it? Crazy.
She said oxytocin could be available within a decade for people to squirt up their nose before they go out on a Saturday night, the same time as a glass of wine. Levels of oxytocin increase in the human body during hugging. There's written a book called Why We Love. It can help people become more confident when dating and help them fall in love.
Oh my God!
Of course, the first thing I thought was date rape drugs.
Yeah. So so that was my first one. Then the second one was people using ecstasy. Right. I mean, we not in this form, but we've taught date rape drugs, X, and then you can sort of back it off. Then you got your
people would say love potions have been out there for a long time,
well,
but it's not being used correctly.
Well, yeah, but then you could back it off the whole aphrodisiacs.
Yeah.
Oysters, you know, and I can't remember. There's a gazillion of them.
Yeah.
This is I could do a monologue on this one. This is what's really interesting about. I was super positive on it, and as you were talking, I was like, ooh. Because here's the thing, and here's my biggest concern. I love that if you could do this safely, and again, they are talking here about love. They're not talking about getting horny. They're not talking about, it's not a Viagra. It's not
although it could be used for that maybe if you have intimate issues.
Yes, but it's not, at least the way I'm saying, this is not arousal only. This is this love. Okay.
It is a love potion.
Right. So on the one hand, yes, you know, the fall in love again, you know, we were in love before and we've kind of lost it. Or my head's in another place. Yes, I love you. I'm having a hard time focusing. Again, I want to be careful. This is not about getting horny or aroused to have sex. This is about being engaged in with you in the relationship. So there's two things that came to mind. One, does this work? And I don't know. Does this work if you're if the two of you are not in love? Like if you pop it and I pop, well, we're straight. But if you pop,
right now, anyway.
If you take one and I take one and we're going on a first date or second date, do we end up feeling artificially feelings? It's like a little bird imprinting on the first object it sees.
Yeah.
Right? So do we both take it and all of a sudden I start feeling amorous towards you because of the change in neurochemistry? That's super dangerous because while it makes for a great date, what happens when you're not taking it?
No, I love this. I love where you're going because the first thing I thought of was, if I really want a woman to fall in love with me, and I'm head over heels with her, and she just doesn't get me yet, but I know that if I can hold on to her long enough, if we can have enough dates, that she will fall in love with me, then this would be something where maybe I'd want to use this in order to get her to see. But
consensually.
And this is all based on consensual. I realize people are not going to use this consensually.
Oh my God,
and she even said, think about the money this is going to generate.
This is going to be such a holy shit show.
The liability and
oh my God.
Now, if you're talking about a couple that's been together for a while and they've been through hell together and they've been married for 30 years and maybe they're just not as aroused or in love with each other just because life comes at you on life's terms and they want to be more engaged with each other.
See, but this doesn't. Okay, but here's the thing, and I'm not a neuroscientist, but unless this changes permanently, which it clearly doesn't suggest that it does.
Yeah.
It's not creating love in the psychological construct. It is creating feelings, amorous feelings, as your neurochemistry is changing. So while your feeling love, again, go back to taking X. This was the whole idea of taking X, right? Or even dropping acid, if we're going to go back there. You're feeling love.
Quaaludes.
We don't know how long it lasts, how long these advanced potions last. And the problem you have with that is once it wears off, you're back to whatever it is that you had at baseline. So the nice part about it from a therapeutic standpoint, I get it. Therapeutic standpoint, we know we're in love. We feel like we're drifting in different places, but we still feel like there's something there, but we just can't get back to where we needed to.
We are a self-medicated culture, and we want pills for everything. And listen, pharmaceuticals and medicines and technology has been unbelievable. But we've obviously got all kinds of opiate issues. We got all kinds of epidemic. But I mean, in this particular case, and I'm always really. And you're talking to a guy, had all kinds of therapy and addiction issues. Whenever you're trying to change the way you feel by taking some external thing, then you have to deal with the possibility that you will not be able to get off that. I've got friends of mine who take the blue pill, right? And they don't need it. It does make them longer, harder, stronger, blah, 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 blah. And I've been out with couples where they're like, don't forget to bring your pill.
Right.
Because it's almost like a go-to, like he'll have it in his back pocket because he feels like he can't go out with his wife and have a good time unless he takes that pill because it's going to get him through the night. And sometimes they don't even have sex. It just makes him feel more sexual. Mm-hmm. And she likes it. So it's kind of like, but the thing that really, really made me go, was when you can take a love potion when things get a little tricky. Now, I don't know what a little tricky means.
That's why I was saying.
Because we've talked about,
what if you take a love potion and they don't?
What do we talk about all the time and guys hate it? How do you make a relationship last? Communication.
But
Talk
you
It's
know what?
not going to go away. And so if you're suppressing those things by taking a love potion.
But okay, so I'll flip it on the other side.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you, but I can flip it on the other side and I can think about it. The use of antidepressants is a great example of this. We talk about all the time, if you're depressed, antidepressants are incredibly effective treatments, right? And they change your neurochemistry. That's what they do. But what they don't do is they do not change the way you approach the world every single day.
Yeah.
In other words, their goal in antidepressants is to change your neurochemistry enough so that you're not as debilitated so you can make changes in your life. You can talk to a therapist. You can think more clearly. But a lot of times people think if I take the antidepressant, I don't really need to do anything else. It will change my life. Not really. What it's doing is changing your mood to a more functional state.
Uh-huh.
This is where I think this is happening. What I would hope is it changes you to a place where you can see your spouse in a way that you couldn't see them before. The problem is, if you compare that to depression, you're sort of talking about this as a disorder.
Yeah.
So is it a disorder of lack of love? Like, what if, and this goes back to the same thing, what if you're not in love? What if you're not in love?
And do you really want your partner to be more in love with you if that's not what their personality's been the entire time you've known them?
Yes.
Because all of a sudden they're more loving, they're more...
See, you know how this is going to be used.
Emotionally aroused.
Listen, this is how this should be used. This should be used.
Yeah.
This should be used in two places. One, in low doses as an aphrodisiac. It's like oysters.
Yeah.
We'll take a little bit, Tony. We're married. We're going to date. I'll tell you what. We're having a hard time. It's not even a hard time. We want to feel a little more. We want to feel a little more amorous. Mm-hmm. You take a little bit. I take a little bit. We have a wonderful evening. Again, not necessarily sexual. We feel more amorous. That's number one. Number two, I do see a very strong therapeutic application for this.
Yeah.
Trying with couples to sort of get to that place, a point of connection. Mm-hmm. What's really interesting is if you are having a hard time and things are getting, what they say, a little tricky, you take this and things are kind of working. Are you on a regular regimen of this? Do they have, XR, extended release?
Yeah.
That becomes the issue. Oh,
This would be a really good placebo
Yeah.
research project.
Oh, I'm sure they would. Yeah.
There's something that guys got the blue pill, and there's something that actually women can use.
Yep.
To increase their libido and their arousal, but it's something that needs to be rubbed on.
Yeah.
And so, guys are like, man, if I could figure out a way, it's not something you can pour in a drink or a pill. You actually have to get on it in order for it to work. And chances are, if you're on it, you're probably going to arouse her anyway. So if there was some type of way that you could touch
I'm sorry, or she's using it.
There's some way you can touch it.
She's using it, and she's not telling you.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't get aroused unless she uses it, because you don't really arouse her. We've done a whole show on that. She can't be happy with just you.
Across the room. And
No, but she's not. Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with that? I can't.
No, I don't think so, because I want a woman to love me.
There you go. She does. But you just don't arouse her.
Well, it's the same thing about, if you're going on a date and every time you go out with her, she's got to get drunk to sleep with you, then she's telling you something. Like if you go out with a woman and she's drinking 12 or 13 drinks every time you go out.
But that's different than having an orgasm.
Yeah.
Look, the way my body is, the way my physiology is, my anatomy, I love you, but I'm going to need a toy. I'm going to need an implement to help me.
But you talk about young people and their dating situations, and most young people meet people where at bars.
Yeah.
And normally there's liquid encouragement,
a
lot of it.
Yeah.
And so if you're out at a bar and you're meeting a woman, and then every time you guys go out, you're meeting at the same bar, and every time you get together, you're sloppy drunk, and she wakes up and she's having a great time, I'll see you tomorrow night or whatever, and you're thinking it's all good. Well, at some point,
that's this.
You want to sober up and just see what happens. Yeah, you want to sober up.
But you know what's so interesting about this? Okay, let's stop, because we could just go for hours. It gets into what the construct of love is. That's what I think is really, I know it's a little philosophical, but it's really interesting, because we instantly in our society, we're equating, in this kind of conversation, it's really easy to equate love and sexual arousal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it makes sense, because they can go hand in hand. But the way they're describing this is a true love potion. So do you take it and not necessarily feel aroused? You feel connected to the person. Because
that's how you would hope it works.
Oh yeah, but hang on. So now you get into we go back to that same whole issue. She feels very connected. You both taken the potion.
Uh-huh.
You're so in love. You feel back to the way you were.
Mm-hmm.
You're the guy.
Oh yeah.
That means, and it's not even that means. I've taken it. I go from love to sexually aroused.
Yeah.
She just goes for love. She's not sexually aroused.
Yeah. That's when you get the stuff and you rub it on her. You're good to go. It's coming, folks, in the next 3 to 5 years.
It's going to be so abused. We're so bad. We're so bad as humans. We're like little children all the time.
We're just trying to fix everything we have problems with, and
yes,
I will tell you right now, if you can't fix it without, I'm not saying there's not like antidepressants or some things from a neuroscience standpoint or from a chemical imbalance standpoint, you have to need help. I get that's what great pharmaceuticals are for.
Yeah.
The problem is we like to self-medicate with a lot of different things, and I can see guys having an entire cupboard full of this stuff every time they go out to a bar and do something. All right, coming up here in just about 45 minutes, we're going to be on Fox 6. We'll be on with Janice Rogers and Mike Dubberly, Mickey Ferguson, Toy, the entire crew. We love when we throw ideas out and they actually like them.
I wonder if I don't think Toy's going to be in this one. He's too young. No, yeah. I want Toy to be in this one because it gets back to what we talked about.
Yeah.
That comfort music is not age, gender, race, sexual identity, gender. Comfort music is a human thing.
Yeah.
And so I was saying Toy because he's too young.
Yeah.
But he's not too young.
No.
He's just got different comfort music, right?
Comfort music, and I mean, we all have that. I mentioned when Naomi Judd passed away.
Yeah.
I used to get home after my bar gigs and stuff, and I put on the Judd's greatest hits.
Look at you, country man.
Oh yeah, Mommy's Crazy. I mean, I used to listen to that thing. There were like 4 or 5 cuts off that album I love, and I play them. It just chill me out, and I just love their music. It was great. Not a big country music fan, but I really like the Judds. And I used to listen to, there were some Def Leppard records. I used to listen to James Taylor records. I used to listen to, there's my go-to stuff where I want to get, and some people listen to music that is like not depressing, but it's slow and it puts them in a very nostalgic mood. There's nothing better though than when you hear a song that you're not expecting, and that's what
you're transporting.
Yeah, Chevy van, whatever.
Oh, Chevy Van was my song.
Yeah,
and then we talked about it. Jules. I told Jules. She's like, "Do you know?" She's like, "I want you to listen to those lyrics very carefully." I know, but then it ruined it for me.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was like, "Oh crap, that's terrible."
So growing up in the 70s, I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever. I had a white transistor radio that my dad gave me that I used to listen to all my Reds games on. And I used to go to bed with it. And I'd hold it up to my ear and listen to Marty and Joe on the radio. And then WSAI used to do their top 10 rundown every night at 9 o'clock by request. And it was all AM. By the way, we didn't have...
Well, you were just old.
You didn't, well, no. I mean, everyone my age group and more so knows that FM existed, but no one used FM. They didn't know how to use it yet.
That's true.
And there were no hi-fi stereo systems. So everything was mono. Everything was in mono. And you couldn't go 3 minutes without hearing a Seals and Cross song or an England and John Ford Coley song.
That's right.
I mean, it was just all that real mellow
70s
stuff. And yeah, there were Zeppelins and,
they throw Bee Gees, early Bee Gees.
The Who. I mean, you had some Bob Seger's, you had some classic rockers in there too. But for the most part, it was all Dan Fogelberg, Bread, Ambrosia.
What about Jackson Browne? Like some old Jackson Browne? But it's not the same. It's not the same because other things
Jackson
like
Browne
Eagles and stuff. Yeah. But it's not the same.
Yeah, well, it wasn't acoustic enough.
Yeah,
Jackson Browne was rock.
Yeah. Well,
now his real early stuff, like Souvenirs, was fit that genre, but it was so deep.
Yeah, it's not Ambrosia.
Part of the plan from Dan Fogelberg.
Yeah.
I think of that song, and it bit as they progressed and it rocked out more, and then you had the Run on Empties where you had the full band. But yeah, England and John Ford Coley. We mentioned James Taylor, Robbie Dupree. So we're going to talk about some of the soft white guys.
I love that Steelers song.
Huh? I know, right? Rock.
But you see what it's doing? Yeah. This is what it's doing. I had this conversation.
Orleans.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Pure Prairie League to an extent.
Yeah.
Pablo Cruz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pablo Cruz.
Love me some Pablo Cruz.
I did too, man. What you gonna do, man?
Well, a little bit of Toto.
I was gonna play Pablo Cruz on my radio station, but it just didn't fit. early Toto.
Yeah.
Not the Africa Toto.
And anybody who's under 40 is looking at us like going...
Player.
Well, now you're getting some... I mean, it's not... Now, where would you put Hall & Oates?
Early Hall & Oates, I would put...
Early Hall & Oates.
Early Hall & Oates.
Because they...
Rich Girl, Sarah Smile, yeah. Early
I'm having this. It's happening to me.
Kenny Loggins? Early Kenny Loggins?
Look, you see what's happening to me? I'm having it. It's this thing. It's called nostalgia.
I know. I
had a conversation with my kids. Again, my kids are 21 and 23. And I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan. I love her, but they love her music.
Uh-huh.
And one of her old songs came on. And, I'm listening to it, I remember, and they were belting it out. Belting it out like you and I would belt it out, Baby Come Back.
Yep.
I mean, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, what? They're like, these are the songs of our youth. They're 21 and 23. Wow. They're like, this is early Hannah Montana songs.
Yeah.
And what it did for me is I only think about my nostalgia songs. And I remember thinking, wow, this is super cool. Because my mom, who's 80, has hers. Mm-hmm. I have mine. My kids have theirs. Every generation has them. Yeah. Which I love. You should ask your kid, your oldest.
Yeah.
What music reminds him of his youth?
That'd be a great question.
Because here's the other thing that happens when your kids are, it's very interesting. Oh, Neil Diamond. Do we do Neil Diamond? Some?
Yeah, I'm thinking
is
more.
Is he too big?
I'm thinking more. It's funny because now when you look at like England and John Ford Coley and Seals and Crofts, you never see like the Jonas Brothers maybe, but you don't see two guys making music together anymore because I think they're gay.
The one we haven't said, but it was more 80s.
What's that?
As long as you're throwing it in there, is Air Supply.
Yeah, Air
'Cause
Supply took cheesiness to a, but they were huge.
Little River Band, that was 70s.
Little River Band, absolutely. Reminiscing.
Cool Change.
Help Us on the Way, yeah. Cool Change. Night Owl, yeah. They had some, yeah. They played my senior night at Lakota High School in 1984, and I didn't know who the hell they were.
They were there?
Yeah, they were there. And what they did is they took a concert that was already going to play, and then they turned it into, it was senior night for Lakota High School, and so we got like half price tickets, and Little River Band played.
Little River Band really played at your concert?
Yeah.
I mean, at your...
Yeah, Timberwolf Music Center at Kings Island. And I remember seeing them, and that's when their singer was great. I don't remember his name, but I was really into that. Paul Davis.
Yes.
I was
Well, you and I do that all the time. We send
and
stuff.
I was always saying, that's why I never got laid till I was 22. I was listening to all this really soft.
It's great.
And I was doing classic rock when I was 13
Yes.
or 14 years old.
You know,
But I just really liked that. And I think a lot of it had to do with my Catholic upbringing.
He's about having...
Because we would go do these search weekends, these weekends with all these Catholic kids and youth groups, and you weren't going to have Aerosmith's Sweet Emotion as your song of the weekend. It would be Love Is the Answer. So I got used to listening to that type of music in that atmosphere, in that environment, and I think that's why I took a love to it.
ABBA?
I had a Paul Davis.
ABBA?
No, ABBA never did it for me just because it was...
Not you, but were they in the same... No, because they're really more pop, right?
Yeah, and I don't know why, but it was soft white guys. I don't know how else to put it. Elvin Bishop. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, I didn't know...
It was Charlie O'Keefe. It was soft white guys. It was always white guys. It was better if there was more than one white guy.
I didn't realize that when I heard Ambrosia, I
remember when James Taylor and J.D. Souther did Her Town too, and I was kind of like...
Yeah.
And then Loggins and Messina. You know, if you had a Loggins and Messina now, everyone would think they're just gay. Why are these two middle-aged guys singing these sappy songs about house on Pooh Corner? What the hell are we doing?
It makes me cry. We sing it to our kids.
Your mama don't dance? What the hell? Now you can never...
Poison redid it, so it was okay.
Are there any bands with just two pasty white guys that make music together anymore?
Well, Hall & Oates are still touring.
Yeah.
No.
But there were tons of them in the 70s, man. And the pictures of them with their frizzy hair, with their arms around each other, and you're like...
A hairy armpits.
Never thought in a million years. And they weren't gay. They just were filling a void of wuss rock that we love. All right. Do you have any more sponsors you want to talk about?
No.
We want to thank all of our great sponsors.
Yes.
Southern Precision Staffing. Kai Gregory is a good friend of mine. We did Live Wire Wednesday last night. We went over 75,000 listeners last night. We had over 40-something thousand in Sydney last night. It was great. We did Pre-Black, was all songs pre-Back in Black. We'll do post-Back in Black coming up next Wednesday, but it's a great, great organization that helps with all your staffing needs, construction or otherwise. 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, where your word and your handshake still means something. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama, which is where Tony Curry Radio is, but they serve the United States of America just like we do, and of course we go beyond that. Also, big howdy-ho to, of course, all of our Ukrainian brothers and sisters who continue to fight the good fight. We had several thousand people in Ukraine listening last night. We greatly appreciate that. We hope our music here at Tony Curry Radio can get you through the toughest of times. And also, of course, the Jimmy Hill Mission, another one of our great sponsors. I've got a phone call with them a little bit later on this morning. They do wonderful work. They've been in business for over 75 years and do great work. We have a donation button on the top of TonyCurryRadio.net. So how do you find all these great shows? And I'm telling you, people are finding our shows, and when they find our shows, they're like, wow, there's hundreds of them. It's great. Go to Spotify, search Tony Curry Radio, Curry with a K, Tony Curry Radio, Kurre, and go listen to all of our shows. We have 10 shows. We're working on 2 new shows. Kip Kiefer from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino is going to be doing a show called Want to Bet. He's also he wants to do his own show. He's like, can I do a 30-minute show? And I said, hell yeah. He's like, you can? I'm like, yeah. He'll talk about what? I said, what do you want to talk about? It's your show. Go ahead and do it. And of course, the Woodhouse Day Spa with Stuart Rome, Winter Rome with Stuart Rome, Blues Almighty. Damon Johnson still has his show on Fridays. We have Dark Side of the Pooch with Dr. Rab Stewart. I'm doing a show with him later on today. They're fantastic. Hear all those shows live on the Tony Curry Radio. Yes.
Adapter Parish.
Adapter Parish on Tuesdays as well. Yeah, we had probably one of our most listened to. Well, it was our most listened to episode with Dusty Rivers on this past Tuesday. So some brand new shows coming up every Tuesday at noon and 8. I'm watching the trailer for the new Beavis and Butthead movie. We're going to go see that. Yeah, we got to do that. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe streaming June 20th. Do you have Paramount Plus?
Yeah.
Okay,
Come to my house.
I'm coming to your house on June 23rd.
Jules
We
will be
got
gone.
Jurassic Park today, and then Beavis and Butthead on the 23rd. We get the Elvis movie coming out. It's good. All right, join us here in about 30 minutes. We're going to be live on Fox 6. We'll be talking more about the pasty white guys who play really mellow music. We'll have to come up with this and how it gets us. And I have a feeling that Janice is probably, well, Dubs is going to do this because he always poses questions to you because he knows I may go off. And I don't know if I can say soft white guys.
I don't know.
I'm going to. No, because it is. Because
I know, but that's what we're talking. That's for you. That is. That's
now, you can say, what about black guys? The black guys in the 70s, it was all more Motown. It wasn't the type of music. It was a totally different genre than what I'm talking about.
It was a different genre, but like Lou Rawls.
Lou Rawls.
Lou Rawls, but it's
George Benson.
George Benson. Yeah.
See, but those guys.
It's not the same.
It's different.
But it's not, and I'm not. I can't think of any white singers in there. It's different genres, not necessarily by race. I mean, I know that is, but it's George Benson and Lou Rawls.
Pasty white guys, soft white guys weren't smooth.
No.
The harmonies were good. Black guys are smooth.
Oh, God, the George Benson.
And it was produced.
Lou Rawls.
Oh, man, I saw George Benson live once and
yes.
Oh, it was great.
Jeffrey Osborne, that was more 80s.
James Ingram.
Yes, James Ingram. Well, and then Luther
Vandross, yeah, I mean,
Luther. You talk about one who dropped you. Well, and very white, but I don't
see how you get into the stylistics and get into Heat Wave. Oh, yes. Yeah, man. I mean, some of our black viewers right now are like, stylistics.
Yes.
The Flamingos.
Oh.
We're just going to melt in a big pond of wussiness today. Talk about the emasculation of men.
No, it's wuss rock.
It is.
I absolutely love that. And here's the thing. I want to say this.
Yeah.
For every particularly white guy who talks about wussification of America, you are so full of shit because you listen to the same damn songs that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think about this. This is the one last psychological angle. You know what the beautiful thing about the way our technology is now?
Yeah.
You can listen to anything. We talked about that before. You can listen to any kind of music from classical and opera to classic rock to this. You can listen to it in your ear, so nobody else is hearing it.
Yeah.
Nobody can see. You don't have a tape or anything like that. And if you're careful, nobody can see. No one really sees your playlist.
Yeah.
So you're out there doing whatever manly thing you're doing. For me, it's cutting the grass. Sometimes it's working out. You may think I'm listening to Metallica.
Yeah.
And in reality, I'm listening to Orleans.
I think something we can get into on Fox 6 this morning is when we won't allow ourselves to listen to a type of music because we're afraid of how it's going to make us feel.
Oh, we can spend more than 5 minutes. Oh, see that, and I use it the other way. I use it to make sure that I feel. Yeah,
because and how important is it to allow us to feel that?
We've got to call
it's like there's commercials or movies that you know is going to make you cry, and you're like,
sometimes
I can't watch this right now. I can't do it. But when you do,
but it's okay to do that. We got to call the producer right now when we're done. We need 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that is really important. It is okay to say, I can't go there right now. It's also okay to say, I want to go there right now. This is what's so beautiful about music. And sometimes we are caught by the song, and we go, and we're like, well, we didn't think we were going to go, there we go. Sometimes we go, and I got to turn it off. We've all been there. I can't listen to that song. That was our song.
I went through about a 6 or 7 year period where I could not listen to anything slow.
Yeah.
Anything slow. I mean, stuff I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I just could not, and I wasn't depressed. I could not put myself in a position to feel that way, and it scared the hell out of me and there was a lot going on in my life. I just needed to be up to, and that's one of the reasons, Tony Kurre Radio, if you listen to the radio station, everything we play is up tempo.
Yes.
We don't play Stairway to Heaven. We don't play Dream On. We don't play anything slow. Everything, and if we've had one critical point to the radio station, people are like, dude, it rocks my ass off. Yeah. We did the classic rock that really rocks. I don't play anything slow, so everything I play on my radio station, but that's by a purpose. I want you to tune us in because I want you to tap your toe and I want you to because I'll sit through a piece of shit song that is up tempo because it's got a beat to it.
Right.
But if it's a piece of shit and it's slow, I'm out.
Right.
So I won't do it. All right, so check us out on Fox 6. That coming out about 30 minutes right here on Tony Kurre Radio. Again, download that Tony Kurre Radio app. But thanks to everyone who watched this morning here on Facebook, the Kurre and Klapow Show podcast up on Spotify a little bit later on this afternoon as well. We'll be back on Fox 6 in 30 minutes right here. Great show, my man.
Good.